A lot of people think that they are sort of an industry plant. Some see them as a Tim Armstrong pet project, and others just think that they're posers. The Interrupters. They are one of the more polarizing bands in punk rock. A lot of people think that they are sort of an industry plant. Some see them as a Tim Armstrong pet project, and others just think that they're posers. Yet they're still wildly popular. When I first discovered them, I thought of them as just another Hellcat Records band, and I really liked them a lot. Through their first three albums, their self titled Interrupters 2014, Say It Loud 2016, and Fight the Good Fight 2018, they sounded just like that. Like a Hellcat band sounding something like an amalgamation of an Outcome the Wolves era Rancid and early The Distillers. A very ska heavy band with a raspy voiced female frontwoman. What's not to love, right? I think part of the hate may come from the fans of the Distillers that feel like this is a cheap replacement. Some may come from haters of Tim Timebomb, haters of ska, whatever. The fact is that punk is the most fickle and often snobby, elitist genre of music and group of people, and oftentimes contradicts itself. I have definitely been guilty of both of those things. I try not to do that though, and that is exactly why I'm here making this video. So what's up with this band? I heard that Tim Armstrong knew the three brothers and that they helped him do the Tim Timebomb and Friends thing, where he and a rotating group of musicians, his friends, released a song every day for an entire year. It was a lot of cover songs and reworkings of Rancid material, but a huge accomplishment and a wonderful collection of music regardless. Then he hears Amy Allen singing somewhere, so he introduced them and told them to start a band, and he would produce their music and put out their albums on Hellcat, and they could also support Rancid while on tour. No way that could fail. Well, that is very conspiracy theory-esque, but it doesn't sound unbelievable to me, especially since they seem to be the main priority for that label right now. Or maybe they were just a group of friends that met at a show and became aware of one another's desire to make music, so they started this band. The truth is likely somewhere in between. I feel like they get a lot of unnecessary hate from older punks. I mean, I'm a fan of the band, and I recently started wondering about their legitimacy. It's pretty dumb, though. Either you like the music or you don't. Who cares how they got here? Who cares if they got some help? Does being broke and friendless make you more punk? I guess it depends on who you ask. I don't really think it matters much. There's no honor in that, and making a record that sounds bad for the sake of being more punk rock is real dumb. You gotta make albums that sound good, so people want to hear them. Amy Allen, or Amy Interrupter as she is now known, wanted to sing for her entire life. She grew up in Montana and had a rough childhood. She started listening to rock and roll and punk at a very early age. At 8 years old, she wrote her first song, a birthday song to her mom. She was upset because she didn't have the money to get her a birthday gift, and as mothers do, she told her not to worry, just make her something. Amy thought that sounded kind of lame until she realized she could make her a song. So that's what she did. It really made her mother happy, and Amy loved that feeling. So she just kept writing songs. She first heard Joan Jett soon after the birthday song, and that was it. She wanted to make rock and roll music and be her own type of badass frontwoman, to inspire others and to make people smile with her music. Amy Allen began singing in bands while living in Montana, and she moved to Los Angeles at the age of 18 to pursue a career in music. In LA, she was lead singer of a punk band that had members of No Motive called Forum. After the band's record deal with MCA fell through, Amy signed a solo deal with Elektra Records in 2002. She was signed to Elektra after producer Randy Jackson from American Idol, saw her band perform live and heard her demo. Her debut album, I'd Rather Start a Revolution If I Could Get Up in the Morning, featuring tracks produced by Mark Ronson and Don Gilmore, was recorded in 2003, but never released due to the label being absorbed by Atlantic Records in 2004. The label did, however, release her first single, Revolution, which was the theme song for the WB television series Birds of Prey. Amy contributed to the songwriting of Unwritten Law's 2005 album, Here's to the Morning, including the single Save Me, Wake Up Call, which reached number 5 on the Billboard Alternative Song Chart. A brief romantic relationship between Alan and Unwritten Law lead singer Scott Russo resulted in a side project called Scott and Amy. Their album, Sitting in a Tree, was released in 2007 by Sidetracked Records. In 2007, her song Stripper Friends was reworked and recorded by Kevin Michael featuring Lupe Fiasco as We All Want the Same Thing. That year, Alan sang the song Cooties on the soundtrack to the 2007 film Hairspray. In 2008, Alan supported presidential hopeful Ron Paul by recording Ron Paul Revolution theme song and performing at events during the 2008 campaign. She sang backing vocals on Lee Scratch Perry's 2008 album Repentance. Also in 2008, she was co-host of the Suicide Girls radio show on Indie 103.1 FM in Los Angeles. Alan released her self-produced first solo album, A Little Happiness, on July 21st, 2009, on Sidetrack Records with 88 Warner Brothers. It debuted at number 27 on the Billboard Heat Seekers chart. In support of A Little Happiness, Alan opened for Sugar Ray on their 2009 tour. In 2011, Alan contributed vocals to the Sublime with Rome debut album Yours Truly, and was featured on the song Safe and Sound. Amy was frequently involved with Tim Armstrong's Tim Time Bomb and Friends project, which saw the online release of a song a day for an entire year from 2012 to 2013. She was featured on the songs Dance, 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 Let My Love Open the Door, Safety Pins Stuck in My Heart, Too Much Pressure, Concrete Jungle, Sidekick, and many more. She was also a member of the touring group. In 2012, she sang background vocals on the Grammy Award-winning album Rebirth by Jimmy Cliff. It's an amazing album, by the way. You should check it out if you haven't heard it yet, if you're into reggae. In 2006, she sang on the song The War Inside by Noise. Alan was featured on 2 songs of the Mad Caddies album Punk Rock Steady, singing on the covers of Sleep Along, originally by Op Ivy, and She's Gone, originally by NoFX. The Barstool Preachers released their album Grazy Governo on August 3rd, 2018. Alan was also featured on the track Choose My Friends from that record. In 2019, Amy Interrupter was featured on the Rat Boy song Night Creature off his album Internationally Unknown. On January 25th, 2021, the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones released a single titled The Final Parade, which features guest appearance from Amy Interrupter as well as members of Rancid, Fishbone, Dancehall Crashers, Los Carnales, Let's Go Houston, The Specials, and others. On June 4th, 2021, Tom Morello announced a new collaborative project. On June 4th, 2021, Tom Morello announced a new collaborative project with the Bloody Beetroots called The Catastrophists EP. The first single, Radium Girls, featured 4 women: Amy Interrupter, Nadia Tolokonnikova of Pussy Riot, I hope I pronounced that right, Mish Way of White Lung, and Delilah Paz of The Last Internationale. The song is about the true story of the Radium Girls, young Illinois factory workers who were the victims of one of the most heinous crimes in U.S. industrial history. On July 16th, 2021, the Dirty Heads released Rage, a song featuring Amy Interrupter and produced by Travis Barker of Blink-182. The music video featured graffiti artist Risk. Now let's talk about the Bavona brothers, Jesse, Justin, and Kevin. They all grew up around music. Their dad and their grandfather were both musicians, so it's no wonder at all that they ended up in the same business. Kevin picked up a guitar while the twins Jesse and Justin picked up bass and drums respectively, and the trio was well on their way to forming a band. They met Amy Allen, a solo artist at the time, in 2009 while touring with their band Telecasters supporting the Dirty Heads and Sugar Ray. In 2011, Amy and Kevin started writing songs together and brought Kevin's brothers in to play drums and bass. That led to the 4 of them forming the Interrupters. Amy and Kevin would eventually get married. The Interrupters got an early start, touring with bands such as Rancid, The Transplants, Devil's Brigade, and Left Alone, as well as playing the American music festival Riot Fest in Chicago and Denver, and the Canadian Music Festival Amnesia Rock Fest, all before the release of their first record. So that's kind of the history of the band and what they did in music before and including the Interrupters stuff. So that's most of the information about the members of the Interrupters before they started the band and kind of when they got going. It's how they met. They've all been playing music for a very long time. They weren't a project that was put together by Tim Armstrong. They, they're just a band. I think that people want to hate on Tim Armstrong one. They don't like Hellcat Records one, and the Interrupters, because they're so successful. It takes, contacts to be successful so quick, and I don't know. I think it's just a jealousy thing, and it's mostly just hating to hate. But there's one more thing I want to talk about before we get done with this, and it's the InfoWars thing. So there was a time when Amy Allen was on InfoWars with Alex Jones. A lot of people do not like this. Personally, I like to learn about a situation before I make or pass judgment, and this is what I found out. Amy, not the full band, appeared on InfoWars. Amy appeared multiple times, and while she did not outright make any outrageous claims, she alluded to plenty, such as being assaulted with a crowbar by quote-unquote illegal immigrant thugs. While that language can be triggering, that may have actually been the case. We don't know because we weren't there. The delivery could have been a little less rigid, in my opinion, though, and I believe that would probably upset people. Apparently, she claimed that her solo record was not released due to some government censorship around the word revolution. That was not at all the case. Elektra, her label, was nearing the end of its life and was fiscally unable to release many records due to the internet era coming around and Metallica suing the absolute shit out of them a few years prior. There are also a couple of things that people may feel are pretty big red flags, mostly about conspiracies and false oppression. On the archived versions of her website, her previous band's websites, and her old MySpace, those are available if you can get to that. I personally feel like being angry about this kind of thing is as dumb as canceling someone for something that they said on Twitter when they were 10 or 15 years younger. We all make mistakes. We are all insecure to a point, and we all grow. We all say things that we wish we hadn't. And I don't want to judge her on this kind of stuff. I've done worse things in my life, and so I'll have to ignore this stuff since it's not really harming anyone that I personally know of. Is it a little gnarly? Yeah, probably, but I don't know. I just don't feel like it's that big a deal personally. The band have said adamantly many times that they do not agree with the politics of Alex Jones or that side of the political spectrum. They've been quoted as being a little defensive and referring to Amy as a quote-unquote young woman when she made comments like that. And I imagine we would react the same way. I think that a lot of people have a holier-than-thou complex, and it's just super lame. People make mistakes, and again, it didn't really harm anybody. But my main question about the Interrupters was, are they legit? What does that even mean? Who really cares? From what I can tell, all four members of the band have been musicians for the majority of their life. They all came from, I'm not going to say humble beginnings because I think the brothers had a little bit of something going on, but none of them seem to be super wealthy. They just seem like regular kids to me. And they seem like people that have been interested in and a part of punk rock to some extent for a very long time. Not all punk rockers listen to only punk. Not all people that play punk rock listen to it. Not all people that listen to it play it. So I think that they've all been musicians for a very long time. I have found no evidence that they were put together by Tim Armstrong, more so that they just kind of stumbled upon each other. Tim knew the brothers, and that's how they got connected. Their first three albums are all bangers. I think that if you put those together, you get some of the best of that kind of music that you can get. If you like Rancid, if you like the Distillers, Left Alone, I don't see how you could possibly not like the Interrupters' first three records. Now, In the Wild, their fourth album, came out in 2022, last summer. That's a different kind of album. It's different. It's their riskiest and most adventurous album. I also think that that's the album where Amy did the best vocals she's ever done. I believe I recorded a review on it on the other channel before I even had this channel, and I called it the record of the summer or something like that. So I'll try to dig up that video and drop that over here for you guys to check out. It's an old review from before I even had this channel. So yeah, man, I guess I was letting things that other people were saying get into my head for some reason. And I'm glad that I did this. I'm glad that I spent the time to go over all this stuff. And I'm glad I spent the time to figure out who they are. Man, it brought back my appreciation for the band. So what's up with the Interrupters? They're a great band. That's what's up with them. It's that simple. So don't let other people's negativity and elitism affect your opinion of things. It will just make you jaded and not worth being around, man. I'm telling you that. I'll link their Spotify down below. and I'll upload that other review for you. Don't forget, I have a Spotify playlist. It's it's got like 800 songs on it and growing. So go check that out. A link in the description. There's a link to my Patreon if you want to just support the channel in any other way. But regardless of all that, listen to the music that you like. Don't let other people's opinions affect that. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for supporting the channel and helping me grow. I'm glad to have you here. Have a nice day. Peace.